The vanishing at sea, cutting through the vast waves of the Atlantic Ocean. A small fishing boat sped forward. Its name was Seabreeze, owned by a middle-aged fisherman named Richard Coleman. Richard lived in a small New Jersey town called Point Harbor with his wife, Linda Coleman, and their 10-year-old son, Evan. He had spent his entire life battling the sea, but beyond fishing, his secret obsession was uncovering the ocean's mysteries. That dawn, like every other day, Richard quietly set out to sea. A heavy fog hung in the sky. The wind carried the salty chill of the waves. Neighbors saw the boat's engine roar to life, Richard turning once, waving with a smile, then disappearing into the horizon. But that night, and the next morning, no news came back. Richard never returned. The Coast Guard sent boats. Helicopters searched the skies, but the ocean lay empty. Only fragments remained, broken nets and a splintered piece of wood from the boat, like some unseen force had swallowed the vessel whole. Linda was shattered with grief. Little Ethan kept asking, "Oh, Mom, Dad will be back, right?" Linda had no answer. She only held her son close. Silently, years passed. Richard was declared dead. A small memorial plaque was raised in town in his name. Linda eventually began teaching at the local school. Ethan grew older, but an emptiness lingered in their hearts. 15 years later, one summer, news shook the entire American coastline. A giant whale had washed ashore in the Gulf of Mexico. Scientists rushed in. Cameras from every major news channel followed. The whale was massive, lifeless, and bore strange scars across its body. Some claimed they were rock injuries. Others thought they were the marks of harpoons. But when researchers cut into the whale's stomach, they fell silent. Inside, they found a rusted harpoon, splinters of wood, and a human skeleton. No tests revealed the identity. Richard Coleman. America was stunned. How could a man lost at sea resurface decades later inside the body of a whale? Television anchors declared, "This is one of the strangest discoveries in maritime history." Linda wept as Ethan, now in college, trembled at the news. It felt as though Richard's spirit had returned, not in life, but as a haunting message. But this was only the beginning. Among the whale's scars was a strange symbol, etched into the flesh. Unlike any natural wound, it resembled an ancient mark. The image spread quickly among researchers, and that is when the true mystery began. The mark of the abyss at the Point Harbor Library. A young historian named Michael Turner saw the image and froze. "I've seen this before. It belongs to an ancient sailor's cult, dating back to the 1700s. Michael suspected Richard had somehow stumbled upon the remnants of this cult and dedicated to protecting a secret buried deep in the sea. When Ethan learned of this, he couldn't remain silent. He reached out to Michael. Together, they began their search for the truth. Harbor lights at the small Calf Harbor Lights in Point Harbor, and then Coleman, 25, tall, rugged, carrying the weight of years of grief. Michael Turner. Over coffee, Michael whispered, "That symbol inside the whale, old journals called it the mark of the abyss." Ethan frowned. "The mark of the abyss? What does that even mean?" Michael traced his finger along his cup. In the 1700s, some sailors believed the ocean wasn't just water. They thought it was alive. They worshipped something in its depths. They marked ships, their own bodies, even whales they hunted with this symbol. It was a pact. Ethan's throat went dry. "Dare you saying my father was part of this?" Michael shook his head. "Not willingly, but it seems he saw something he wasn't meant to." Outside, rain fell against the calf window. Lightning flickered across the sea, as though the ocean itself whispered agreement. The journal that night, restless and sleepless, and then entered his father's old room. Inside the closet he found weathered fishing gear, a rusted compass, faded maps, and a leather notebook marked C. The pages were damp, ink smeared, but some lines remained. June 12. Something is wrong with the sea. The fish are gone, the currents strange. Last night I heard chanting through the fog. I swear I saw lights beneath the webs. Eden's skin prickled. His father's last days had been recorded in fragments of dread. Captain Howard's warning the next evening. Eden and Michael visited Captain Howard Miller, Richard's old fishing partner. The elderly man, now in a wheelchair, stared silently at the sea. Eden asked, voice heavy with urgency, "Mr. Miller, what did my father get involved with?" Howard's lips trembled. "Your father saw what he should not have seen. The sea holds secrets, boy, and there are men who will kill to protect them." Eden whispered, "You mean men, not myths." Howard placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. When you look at the ocean, you think it's empty, but beneath the waves are cities of silence, graves of sailors and cults that never died. Your father crossed their path, and they will come for you too." As silence fell, waves crashed outside, echoing his warning. Shadows on the road that night. Eden realized a black sub was following him. No matter how he turned, the vehicle trailed him. At last, on a deserted road, it stopped. Through the tinted window, a masked man stared at him, silent, watching. Eden's heart thundered. He now knew. The cult wasn't just legend, it was alive. Secrets and blood. The following days spiraled into fear and revelation. His mother confessed Richard had been hiding strange rituals. Michael unearthed maps marked with the drowning circle. And then, at the library, a mysterious man appeared wearing the mark of the abyss around his neck. Be warned, Eden, your father didn't vanish. He was taken. He became part of something eternal. The sleeper beneath. The words echoed in Eden's mind like a curse. The drowning circle. Eden's dreams filled with visions, an underwater city glowing with towers and domes, and a voice whispering, "Come down, your father waits." When he pressed Captain Howard, the old man finally revealed, "They offer lives to the sleeper, whales, sailors, entire ships. Your father was an offering." Eden's blood froze. His father hadn't simply drowned, they had been sacrificed. The abyssal order. One stormy night, Eden and Michael took a small boat out to sea. Through fog, they saw lights below the waves, an entire glowing city. And then, chanting, "Awaken, sleeper, awaken." Black-robed men crowded the decks of fishing ships, chanting, symbols glowing at their throats. At their center stood a masked leader, arms raised. "Tonight, the sleeper stirs. Tonight, we offer another soul." On the deck lay a man, bound, helpless. Eden realized they were about to sacrifice him. The awakening fighting erupted. Eden wielded his father's harpoon. Michael fought with an iron rod. They freed the captive, but the sea itself trembled. From below, a colossal shadow stirred. Shimmering eyes, endless tentacles. The cult roared in ecstasy. Of the sleeper wakes, the leader pointed at Eden. "Offer the sun, offer the Coleman blood." The last stand. Eden remembered his father's words. "The circle pulls everything down." He shouted, "Michael, the compass, throw it into the light." Michael hurled Richard's compass into the glowing depths. The ocean convulsed. A blinding surge erupted, dragging the monstrous being and the cult's ships into the abyss. The leader's final cry echoed, "You can't kill the sleeper, it only dreams again." And then he was gone. Dawn silence returned. The fog lifted. Only waves and the rising sun remained. The rescued man whispered weakly, "We've done this for centuries, but you stopped them tonight." Eden's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, He felt his father's spirit was at peace. As dawn broke over Point Harbor, Ethan whispered, "Dad, I did it. They won't take anyone else." Michael placed a hand on his shoulder. "The order may return, but today, you broke their chain." Ethan stared out at the horizon. The waves still whispered secrets, but he no longer feared them. His father had not been just a victim, he had been a warrior, and tonight, Ethan had finished his spite.